Hi everybody, hope you're well. This video is requested by Shetland Breeder 1. In this video I'm going to be talking about presentations in terms of how to make them look good, I suppose, and also how to make them work most effectively for you. So some people like to have presentation layouts and those can be quite cool to do. I don't have one purely because there's too much on my page. That's just that's just the way it is. But um, I do think that when you're doing a presentation, it's best to have the newest news at the top because that is where most people see it, and have your older stuff at the bottom. And I tend to think that sometimes you can put a lot on your page and people will never read it. Like you might say, please don't message me asking to buy my horse, blah blah blah, and people will still message you and ask you to buy that horse. That just is the way it is. But some people will read your page, and sometimes it's best to make sure your stuff is easy to read. Try and pick colors that are easy to read, because sometimes I find that people intentionally put really weird colors on their page, and it's very hard to read. It actually can be quite harsh on the eyes, and I think it's not. You sort of go, oh, this is too much, and you'll flick off the page because it's too much to look at. But I think whenever you're doing a page, you want to put your most recent stuff at the top. And then I think sometimes a good thing to do is to have a little section where it says what information you'll find on your page. So I did this recently because my page is so humongously massive. Um, you might not need all that, so you might not need what you will find in my page section. But sometimes I think it's good to write, a little section of what you do buy and what you do sell. If anything about your EC, maybe something about your teams, any guides that you have, and so forth. I think that can be quite a nice little thing to do, because it helps people, just to sort of see. You might want to put a little about me section. Don't share anything too personal, because remember, online world, you do literally not know who you're talking to. So I think really when it comes to presentations, try and aim for something that's easy to read and follow. Try and make sure that the colors work to a certain degree. Now some people just like really bright colors, and that's fair enough, but you have to sort of think sometimes that maybe other people don't. Um, your page is kind of like your presentation page is kind of a representation of what you want. So I think making it easy to follow and so forth makes it a lot easier for people to read, because then it doesn't feel like a task. I mean, my page is absolutely huge, and there has been times where I've tried to make it smaller and it just doesn't work. So I just make it work for me. Um, but I think it depends on you. I mean, you might love having lots of banners, lots of gifs and things. Um, and then you might like having different little things. But I think if you can put them in sections, I mean, if you have a page, for example, and you have maybe 20 banners and maybe another 10 gifts, and you've lots of competitions going on your page and stuff, I wouldn't have it like gift and then banner and then competition stuff, and then halfway through it you've got another banner. It's better to have a section for banners so that the banners are in that section. If anybody wants to look at your banners, they can look at that specific section for banners. And then I would do the same with the gifts. If you have certain gifts that you want, that you have those in a gift section, so it kind of makes sense and somebody can go through it. Almost like, if you want to think about it, it's like reading a book. If you can put it in the title, the introduction, the middle bit, and then the conclusion, it's so much easier to read. So I think doing having those little sections does make it a lot easier for people to read, and then they're more likely to read your page and to know what not to bother you with, whether that's certain things you don't want them asking or so forth. Um, but I think that's kind of it, really. Like, everybody has their own opinions on what a nice presentation looks like. I'm not going to impose my opinions on that, but I think making it easy, like I think things like making it easy to read, and using colors that are quite, um, you know, they're easy to read but they're not too much, or very difficult to read, is some basic things I think are quite important. So thank you to Shetland Breeder 1 for requesting the video, and hope you have a lovely day. Bye guys.